I have been in far too many therapy offices where it is immediately obvious upon entering that the people who have designed and laid out that office do not actually understand mental health. So today I'm going to walk you through how I have set up my office in order to help make people who deal with depression and anxiety in particular as comfortable as possible. So right off the bat, if something sucks, just own it. Our sign is still being built. Right now we have a terrible sign, but I'm acknowledging that it's a terrible sign. I think that's important. So upon entering, according to the blueprint, this space right here is the waiting area. That is not okay. That is far too claustrophobic and right up next to the reception desk. So I did not use that as the waiting area. As you can see, I'm using it as nothing, in fact. Our waiting area is this nice, spacious area over here. I have been in way too many offices where these chairs are just jammed together with like 2 inches of space in between. That is not okay. Do not do that. That will make people uncomfortable. Try to make sure that your decor is just pretty neutral. Don't have, like, I know this should be obvious, but my experience tells me it's not. Don't have weird decorations. Don't have a bunch of strange, unsettling stuff in your waiting area. This is something I'm particularly happy with. Mental health affects people's nutrition, and that includes things like hydration, for example. Many people come here not having had a single ounce of water to drink all day long, and I like to be able to provide them with that. I had someone the other day ask me how much the Frappuccinos cost, which was adorable. They're free. All this stuff is free. I know that this stuff can be hard. It's hard to remember to take care of yourself. It's hard to care about taking care of yourself, and I try to remove as many barriers as possible. So we provide drinks for people. This is an air purifier. Air gets dirty, it needs to be cleaned. It's not on right now, but you'll notice I've got a couple speakers back here behind the reception area. I worked very hard to find what I would consider to be the exact right music for a waiting area. And a lot of reception areas will just play the radio. That's not a great idea for many reasons. Some of the lyrics are incredibly inappropriate. There are many songs on the radio that are horrible lyrically and also often probably very triggering. The audio is all over the place. The ads are usually crazy loud. So I managed to I put together a playlist actually of like a few hundred calming instrumental songs. I was very selective about them. The reason it's not on right now is because I play it from my phone, which is what I'm recording this on. But be selective about your waiting room music. I do think, now I thought about having none at all. I do think you want some, because complete and total silence also doesn't feel great to people with depression and anxiety. Our brains can get a little bit too loud, and we need to have something in the background, but it can't be too loud or too overstimulating. It's a fine line, and you gotta find it. This brings us into the coffee and snack bar. And again, this really comes down to self-care. Self-care is difficult for people with depression and anxiety, especially for our morning IOP. It starts at 9 a.m. And I know that people often are rushing in the morning because they're struggling with insomnia, they're struggling with motivation, they're struggling with hygiene. So I try to make sure that we have just about everything that they could need here. We've got some creamer in the fridge. Got some weird flavors in there. That was kind of an accident, but that's neither here nor there. Again, all of this stuff is complimentary, and of course I had to put my logo on the mugs. And down here, we have chargers. Again, I'm trying to think, what are all the possible reasons someone might not come into therapy on any given day? And getting ready to leave the house and realizing that your phone is at 10% might be one such reason, and I don't want people scrambling to find their chargers, so I have chargers. This is my favorite room. This is the group room, and there's a few things I want to point out here. Notice that these are like actual armchairs. I know not everyone can afford these for therapy offices. They're not that expensive though. People want to be comfortable. People deserve to be comfortable. This stuff that we ask people to do, it's hard work. And I want them to be as comfortable as possible while they're doing it. I also feel that chairs like this give you more of a sense of a boundary, and you feel like you actually have your own individual space rather than just being kind of slammed into like a small area. The lighting is also something I was very particular about. So you'll notice, we do have the stereotypical office fluorescent lights here. I only have 2 of them. I do have these turned on. The reason is these are above the whiteboard. And yes, that's my actual handwriting. It's quite bad, but they think it's funny, so it's okay. I believe, I have not studied this empirically, but anecdotally, I have noticed that there is a direct correlation between the brightness of the lights in a room and people's willingness to cry. The brighter it is, the less people cry. And sometimes you need to cry in therapy. That's also why there is a box of tissue under every single table. Not a coincidence. We go through them quickly. Again, these are sort of these hybrid lamp. These are just warm lights. They're not like the super bright LEDs. These tables also have charging ports built in, again, so people don't have to have anxiety about the status of their phones, because our phones are extremely important for our days. The decor in this room, these are all art pieces created and donated by past and or current members of the group. So I'm pretty proud of that too. I mean, I didn't do any of it, but I'm proud of them, I guess I should say. And then we've got quite a few, I guess I would say, resources back here. Puzzle books, coloring books, etc. Got some fidget toys, things like that. Although I'm very careful, and this is a hard thing to find, but make sure your fidget toys are quiet. You do not want a bunch of loud fidget toys, because a lot of people with anxiety in particular have misophonia as well. Got a few games we can play. I just love the group room. And then lastly, I'm going to show you my office. Now, my office is not perfect because this is a hybrid therapy office and recording studio. So it's not laid out the way I would like it to be. But a couple things I'm going to point out here. Again, lighting. Do not overlook lighting. If you have these bright office fluorescent lights, having those turned on kind of makes people feel like they're in an exam room. So I would be very mindful of trying to use lamps rather than those lights. Also, there is a correct distance between your therapy chairs. And I don't know exactly what it is because I haven't measured it, but it's this. If your chairs are closer together than this, it can feel very intimidating. It can feel claustrophobic, it can feel uncomfortable. If your chairs are farther apart than this, it can feel like you're very distant from your provider. So I think it's about 6 feet. Again, I haven't measured, but that's how I would recommend setting up your chairs. I suppose it's technically possible to do therapy without a whiteboard, but I personally cannot do it. This part doesn't really apply, but this is the recording studio. I did repaint, and I just want to say really quick, you guys, thank you for this, because that's amazing. So that's why things are set up here the way they are. I know that you watching this may or may not be like an office administrator or anything like that, but I just thought it would be helpful to kind of show you why I did what I did. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope it provides some kind of benefit for you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.